Okay, let's get started with opening the schedule for the mocap and making sure that you have assigned shots. First of all, for example, I have here some of the shots that's been assigned to me. So let's start with organizing the folder where I'm gonna start working on before I jump into Motion Builder. So the first thing is, let's see, I'm gonna start working in this shot, right? So I'm already in the location for this shot. So it's gonna be the Stella project, Mocap 3, scene 6, as you can tell here. Then part 3, layer 3. And then inside of these folders, you will find several things: the Cortex, the faceware, the reference, and the motion builder. So we want to access the motion builder one. And inside of this one, usually you will not have this folder. You just will have the raw files here. The next step that you need to do, like right here, I already did it. I create a folder. Every file that you have TRC at the end, that means that it's one of the marker files that we want to be using. So make sure to create a folder for each one. Like for example, here I don't have one for Stella. So the next step that I want to do is just right click. I'm gonna rename it and just gonna Ctrl Z on the name so I can copy the name since it's really long. Then I'm gonna right click and then create a new folder. Rename it with that name, click enter. Inside of those folders, I'm gonna go inside of the model folder. You want to create a Maya scene and a motion builder scene. So I'm gonna go here inside, say file, new, Maya scene, and then another one for the motion builder, file, new, and I'm just gonna put abbreviation here for motion builder scene. Okay. Then inside of the motion builder folder, this is where you're gonna start saving all the stuff that you're doing in motion builder. Okay. So let's get going into motion builder at this point. So I'm just gonna say new since I have a open one. So here's how motion builder looks. Here you have your tools, you have your character controllers, and all these other tools that I'm gonna be explaining. So to navigate around motion builder, you will need to go and click shift and left click. It lets you pan around. Shift right click, it lets you orbit around the object, and the middle mouse, the middle button mouse, just scrolling in and out is going to allow you to just zoom in and zoom out. So after that, we can import our TRC file, the one that we're going to be using. In this case, since I already have opened the folder here for my shot, one of the quick ways to do it is just click and drag your folder, your file, the TRC file, inside of the viewer, and you're gonna say TRC import. So that way we have our markers here. The next step to do is create an actor. The actor is the one that's gonna be driven by these markers. All the motion is gonna be translated to that actor. So here in character controls, we're gonna say create actor, and here's our actor. So the next thing that we need to do, we need to align our actor inside of our markers, because right now here it's not exactly aligned. If you can notice here, this is our hips controllers, they're pretty far away, as well our head and all the arms. So definitely we need to start aligning the actor. One of the things that you can do is go into your view and change into the perspective. I usually start with the front. I grab the hips and I go into my transform control here. So, and I start zooming in there. So I move the character inside of my hips. Pretty much this is the controllers for the hips. If you have some problem identifying which controller is which one, you can always go here inside and grab the controller, and here it's gonna give you the name. Here in this case, our root is our hips, is the center of their hips. So we're gonna grab the hips for our actor. Try to bring it inside of that. kind of like trying to align it to be in the middle of that. So the next thing that we need to do is, as you can tell, our actor is a little bit bigger than the torso is a little bit bigger. So this is the controllers for the head, and they should be around this area, but right now they're in his ears. So the next thing that we should do is pretty much scale him up globally on the torso. So I'm just gonna here in the actor, since it's easier for me than just coming here and trying to market everything. I'm just gonna click and drag here so I can select the areas I want to scale. In this case, I don't want to scale the leg, so I'm just gonna do Control left click on it. I'm gonna use my scale tool here to scale uniform. I'm gonna try to grab the yellow box here in the middle and try to scale it down until I get kind of like a size of roughly a size where the head is closer to the head controllers and the arms are kind of like similar to it. So the next thing that I need to do, I'm probably going to scale a little bit down this one. Just to give it a little bit more proportion on it. So the next thing that we need to do is adjust the arms, because right now our arms are kind of like far away. I'm gonna adjust the rotation of it. So this area here, there's our hand, is in between these markers. Kind of like, not exactly in between, but closer to it. And also here. So also I'm gonna adjust a little bit the head, since it looks like our actor has the head a little bit tilted to the side. I'm gonna go into my top view. I'm gonna readjust here too. I'm gonna grab, if you have problems grabbing the hips, for example, from here, you can always grab it from here too, and it will work. Trying to bring my actor forward. One of the reference points that I use is the tip to see how far I need to go. Like for example, this is the tip of the controller, the marker, but in this case my feet are kind of like messed up still, so I'm gonna go again into the orthographic front and see what happened. Okay, so I need to align my legs. So my markers here on the bottom where my feet is, they're pretty much in around the feet. I'm gonna do the same thing with this. Okay. One of the references that I'm using here is the ankle point. The ankle usually should be around this area here outside, not exactly on top. Kind of like that. Then another thing that I do is just put the feet back into normal position so it's not crooked completely. Oh, that was much. So cool. Let's go back into the top view. And let's start aligning the arms, the shoulder, into our hands. This is our hands. So let's actually just bring it into here. One of the reference points that you can grab is probably the pinky. And this is the controller here. It says pinky of the hand. To make sure that it's kind of like closer to it, the pinky should be pretty much not exactly on top of the hand, but really close to where the pinky starts. So kind of like that. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one. This is perfect. gonna try to get the other one the same way. Okay, after aligning the shoulders, and it looks like our character is already aligned on it. So I'm gonna go into my producer view again. The producer view is pretty much our perspective, regular perspective. And just gonna double check that my hips are exactly inside. So like in this case, it's not exactly inside, so I might probably push it a little bit more inside. If this thing happens, we will need to readjust our character. Always check your hips. I forgot to say that. Hips are really important. So as you can tell, I will need to readjust my shoulders. So that looks fine. It's not too crazy outside. We have our hips, we have our legs that also need to be adjusted on the side. There we go, that leg there. And this leg too, a little bit back, just a little bit. Okay, so after we have this, yeah, that's good. Okay, so we need to start creating our character set after we align our whole character on. So we set marker set here. The marker set is where you're gonna start assigning your markers to determine what part of the body, or in this case, what part of the actor is going to be moving. So we're going to say create. And here, on the actor settings, you notice that we start getting these bubbles around the body. That's where we're going to start assigning our character markers in. So in order to make it a little bit more simple, let's go into the front view. And let's hide our actor. In this case, on the character controls, we're gonna go into this blue icon. We're gonna say show and hide, and then we're gonna say we're gonna uncheck the actor, and the actor is gone right now. So several things need to be taken accountability here. Some of the markers are really close, so we need to check what markers we are selected. And the head is pretty simple. Usually the assignment of 5 like markers here is just gonna be limit to 5 markers. If you grab a 6 marker, it's not gonna allow you to bring it here and assign it. So we're gonna select all the markers here. Like I'm just clicking, dragging, and then you're gonna click Alt plus the left mouse click and drag it into the head. Okay, so now if you notice, now it changed from 0 to 5. So that's good, because that means that we already assigned the shot, the markers. If you click on the top of the head, we can see that everything is named the head. So that's good, because these ones are the markers that were assigned especially for that. So okay, so the next thing that we need to do is go and start aligning our chest. And for that, we need to go into our orthographic view or front view. Well, we are in the front view, sorry. So after that, you need to actually grab the arc sternum and also the left side, and we will also grab the top spine, the T-chest, and the middle back. So let's actually grab this ones. just doing control to select each marker that I'm just grabbing right now. I'm gonna do Alt, left click mouse and drag into the chest area. The next thing that we need to do is go into our hips. Our hips are easy because usually it's the ones that are like pretty much almost in a line here, and they are next to the root. So what I can do is just click and drag in order to create this marquee selection. And then I'm going to do Alt, click and drag into the hips. The next thing that I need to do here is select the shoulder, like in this case the right shoulder. Also, if you get lost, just remember that the front view that we are seeing right now is gonna match perfectly the position of this character here. So if you get lost, just remember that if you go into the right front view, you'll be in good hands there. So I'm gonna click Alt and then left click again and just move it into my shoulder, just one marker. Then I'm gonna grab the bicep, that's this one. Oh, by the way, if you ended up getting the graph here and you don't know how to come back into your actor, just go into actors here, double click in actor, and here's your actor back. So, and I'm going to select the elbow for here as well. So this two, the bicep and the elbow, I'll left click and drag it into the area where the elbow should be here. The forearm in this case is by itself, so we're going to grab the forearm. I'm going to drop it into the forearm. And the last ones are easy because it's all the hand. All these ones that are empty that we are not selected yet, we're just going to click and drag. So we can select all of them and then Alt, left click and drag them into the hand. So I'm going to do the other ones, same thing, shoulder. Left click there, here. Bring it into the arm. Then here, I'm gonna check where is my. Oh, here's my forearm. Now, let's see. By accident, I ended up grabbing my forearm here. So the only thing that you need to do there is select the one that you grabbed by accident and just click delete on your keyboard. So that will delete it from the list. So I have my elbow there, and I have my bicep. So this is the ones that we want. I'll click and drop them. Just grabbing an extra elbow. So I'm just gonna delete the elbow. And the shoulder should be fine. The forearm, I'll left click, drag it into the forearm, and then the hands, right? Now let's go into the bottom part. Right now we're gonna end up jumping these ones, the middle waist. We're not gonna use those ones, but we're gonna be using the thigh and the knee. Okay. So these two are gonna be part of the knee. So I'm gonna Alt, left click and drag them. I'll do the same thing for the other side at this point, since we are here. I'm gonna jump this one for now, and on the feet, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because these ones can be really close to each other. So the one where we're not using in the next example is the tip. So I'm gonna go and search for the tip. Toe, other. Okay, and this is the one that we're not using. So I'm gonna select all of them. And since I already know that this one is the one that we're not going to use, I'm just going to control and click on top of it so I can unselect it. It's going to turn kind of bluish. So all the green ones, I'm going to just Alt, left click and drag them into my feet. Okay, now we have 4 there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Okay, that's the tip. So this one is the tip. Control, Alt, left click, drag. So now we already have everything assigned, right? So I'm gonna bring my actor back. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my actor I'm gonna say on this blue icon where it's in the character controllers, I'm gonna say show hide actor all. In this case, it's gonna hide pretty much everything that I have not assigned yet. All these markers are the ones that doesn't have any assignment, so that's fine. I'm gonna go back into show hide and I'm gonna reactivate the actor all. So now notice how my actor now has this little white squares inside of the markers. Those are the markers that are assigned to something. The ones that doesn't have the white square inside, that means that they are not assigned. And we also have these crosses that are indicated that something is driving that area. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my perspective, and then I'm gonna try to see if my markers are right now not attached to my actor, even though they're already assigned. That means because I need to activate it here. And when I activate them, so after I activate my markers, my characters start moving around my actor with my markers. So it's good to just quick play it, just to make sure that everything is working fine, that nothing got assigned by mistake in another thing. They should not be there. So the actor looks fine so far. So yeah, it's nothing crazy going on with it. So we need to check here before the next step that we're doing. How long is your shot? In this case, it's 541 frames. So we're gonna go and first of all, we need to save this scene just in case that everything crashed. So we're gonna get file, save as, find the location of the file that you're working on. So after you find this, you will need to rename it according to what you're working on. In this case, this is the shot name that we have here. So it's a pretty long one. I'm gonna put it on the side so I can actually copy it. So just give me a second so I can do that. So, and we're gonna put the name here, and then I'm gonna do underscore version 001. This is just in order to not override. We know that this is the version 1 that we have done. So, and I'm gonna say save. So I'm gonna leave all the defaults by what it is right now, and I'm gonna click save. The next thing that we need to do, remember the number of your frames, 441. So I need to merge a character that have a whole skeleton where I'm going to be plotting the information that I have just obtained from this character. So I'm going to say file, I'm going to say merge, and then on the root of this project we should have something called Mocap General Rig. If you double click here, it's a mocap guide there. There's already characterized it, it's ready to go here. So we're gonna click here, double click on this one. Remember how big is your scene, okay? I'm gonna explain why in a minute. So I'm gonna say merge. So the problem is that when you bring another character, your scene goes to 1. So we need to change this into the length of your shot. In this case, mine it was 541. I click enter after I put the number there. So now I have the whole length there going on. The next thing that we need to do, since we already have bring a new character, they have all these bones, we need to characterize it. So here on characters, on your asset browser, we're gonna go select character and then character. We're not gonna click and drag inside of the bone, and it's gonna be on the hips bone. I'm gonna say characterize it, and it's asking us this existing definition. We say okay, that's fine. So right now it's nothing happening on it, but if we expand the character and we go and select this character, double click on it, it's gonna give us options. So sorry, I ended up bringing a character. This already characterized it, so we don't need to pretty much do nothing on it. After we bring the character, we're gonna have a new tab here called characterize character, and then double click on it. It's gonna bring you this new tab, this sales character settings. So but that thing I want to, in the input type, I want to change it into my actor. My actor is the one that's going to be driving the actions of the new character that I have bring in. So I select my actor and import source, that's fine, and then we're going to say active. Notice how my character now snaps into my actor. That's good because that's an indication that the character is recognizing the actor as the one that's going to be driving the action. So if we start just playing it, we can see that both characters are moving correctly. Yep. So the next thing that we need to do, I'm just gonna hide my actor. So I'm gonna go into the options for the character controllers, show and hide, and I'm just gonna hide my actor. And I might probably want to go and also hide the skeleton just to make sure that rechecking the animation just to make sure there's not like a body part flying away. So that's good. Now we're ready to plot our information of the markers inside of our character that we just bring in. So we're gonna say plot character. Okay, so let's actually go and plot our character. Then it's gonna ask us what we want to do, if we want to bake the animation into a skeleton, into a control rig, or if we want cancel. In this case, this character has a skeleton already built in and it's already characterized. So we're gonna choose the skeleton option. Make sure this one by default is gonna come like this, 30 frames. Make sure that you are working in 24 frames for this project, for the Stella project. And everything else we're gonna leave it as a default, and then we're gonna say plot. So I already ended up doing all this plotting information. So it's not gonna look like we did a lot of change on it, but now we need to resave this. Let's actually go, and I'm just gonna override on this. Then I'm gonna go into Maya. Let's see, where is Maya? I'm gonna just pause the recording since Maya is probably gonna take the sweet time on it, if it let me, obviously, too. Okay, Maya already started, so let's go into file and we're gonna say import. Then on the screen where it pop up, we're gonna do search for the file that we're looking for. In this case, I'm just gonna go and access the motion capture file. So notice that I'm in the motion builder scene folder from where I was working, and I'm gonna bring the motion capture FBX file that I ended up creating. So I'm gonna say import. When I import it, I need to press A so I can see reframe the character since it's actually kind of huge. The next thing that we need to do here is just checking that our animation ended up bringing together on it, on the whole thing. So that looks good. After that, we need to color code the mesh of the character. We're gonna do select just the geometry, right click and assign a new material. In this case, just assign one of the normal materials that Maya has. When they bring you the options for your material, in this case I'm working with Stella, so Stella is gonna be a yellow color unless that we change the color coding. Just stay tuned for that. So I'm gonna click on the yellow, and that's my Stella. So after that, I'm gonna go and just do the regular stuff. I'm gonna set the project to whatever folder we are working on. Let me actually redo that. File, set project. So I'm gonna go into Stella. I'm gonna go and select my Maya scene, and I'm gonna set it there. Just create the default workspace there. Again, file, project window. I'm gonna create all the regular folders for Maya, And then the next thing, I need to save the scene. Save scene as. So after I save the scene, remember to just grab the name of your shot. In this case, I just ended up putting the whole thing together there. I'm gonna do underscore version 001 and then save as. Just making sure also that I'm saving on the first. Then we need to save L3 T2 exterior Stella. Okay, that's correct. I'm gonna say save, and that will be it for Maya. So cool.